Hey, I'm Reggie Ponder, the Real Critic, and this is the Real Critic Roundtable, where Black critics come to discuss, debate, and have some fun. Sometimes you might hear me say African American or Black, but today I'm Black. I'm just claiming Black today. So there's a lot going on in the industry, a lot going on in the world. So I'm just going to say Black critics come together to discuss, and we got our people back. So as usual, got my boy Sean Edwards here. Sean, I've been seeing you've been doing a number of interviews talking about, hey, I'm staying off of
so 11. I'm like, Sean, what time is it?
I know. 11 a.m.
What time is it, Sean?
This is me, coffee. Sean went the whole day. Sean is like
Oscar weekend. It's Oscar weekend. This is where you make. This is where you make. This is where you make. I'm doing my LeBron James. This is where you make your money. It's Oscar weekend. And my boy Dion's sending the jet. We partying Sunday night in LA.
Look. So he getting ready. He getting ready.
Ready, baby.
We gonna keep it moving. We gonna keep it moving. Obviously, we got my girl Katya Woods in the house. Katya, I know you are busy. We talking about it's the Oscars. You, girl, covering the Oscars. So hey, are you ready?
Yeah, I am. I just have to fix a couple of things in my background, but it should be fun. It's going to be a crowded room, but I always find my way.
All right. Well. Congratulations. Looking forward to what comes out of that. And then,
so you coming out to LA too?
Ooh, no.
She's doing it here.
I still believe that we're in the Pandadolce and LA is a mess. It's like 1 out of 5 people have COVID. Ooh, no, child. You all got this.
I'm good.
Katya said, I'm not taking the risk.
I'm fully vaccinated, but still 1 out of 5? Because they can't have a seat.
No, I feel you. And then we got my nemesis, KB, in the house. KB, what's up? Good to have you, girl.
Ciao. Okay, Reggie. Well, I'm happy to be here with everyone else except for Reggie. How about that? No. Thanks for having me back, Reggie.
Love it. All right, we're gonna get right into it because we do have a lot to try to cover today. The first one is we're gonna talk about the movie a lot of people have been waiting to see, which is Mortal Kombat. Katya, tell us what this one's about and tell us what you think about it.
Dun 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 dun. I had to do it. Sorry. Mortal Kombat is based off the video game. Where you choose your fighter and you choose them based upon their skill, and then they fight each other. And the fun thing about that game always was when they were kicking, they had to jump. You would jump. Anyways, moving on. This is the 2021 version because there was a 1995 film, but this is new. And what this film did different, it's basically still, it's the fable. It's these two contingents, good versus evil, and they have to have champion fighters in order to compete. And then whoever wins that realm gets to rule. But this version, 2021, is different because they introduced a new character, Cole, that wasn't in the original. And I don't think the character was in the game. It's been a long time since I played the game, so forgive me. So that's basically the basis of the movie. I enjoyed it, because I didn't come for a plot. I came for the martial arts. I understand what people are looking for a plot and this deep story and all this other stuff. I was like, I don't care. That's not necessary. I was here for the martial arts. I was here for the fighting. I am happy for Louis Tran. Louis Tran has been out here for a minute. He has a background for it. He's a mixed martial arts. That's his real deal. He's not out here pretending. I enjoyed it. And, again, it's cheesy, it's kooky, but again, ain't nobody going to see Mortal Kombat for Academy Award-winning performances. If you are, I'm sorry.
This is what we said about Godzilla versus Kong. Sean, thoughts?
I'm so confused by this movie. Number one, the fans will be happy because they stayed about as true as you possibly could to the video game. I just need all the parents out there listening. This ain't the one for kids because they're going to hear Mortal Kombat. They're going to think movie based off of a video game, and they're going to want to load up the minivans and the SUVs to take the kiddos. This movie is as violent as a Quentin Tarantino movie, and everybody's looking at my face right now, and you can clearly see me. The profanity had me blushing, and it's hard for me to blush. And I just don't understand where they were going, because this is a hard R movie for a reason. And I just think they just limited their audience by making it so violent. I know the fanboys and fangirls wanted it to stay true like that, but you know, fanboys and fangirls can't make a movie a hit, and this just ain't the one where you can take your kids to. I will say this: the first 20 minutes had me shook, because the first 20 minutes of this movie were fantastic. It was almost on another level, and then it got dumb.
Wow. KB, thoughts?
Listen, I was one of the fans of the game growing up, so I played it a ton. I saw the 1995 film. I came into this with the expectations that it was going to have the same level of violence as the game, because the games were pretty violent, like growing up. They were not, for children really then, so I'm not entirely sure why I was playing it, but oh well. And so it was super violent growing up, and that's exactly what you get here. So I feel like Katya in the sense that I don't know who these people are and what they were expecting. My expectations were the same expectations I had for Godzilla versus Kong, which is to go in there and have a great time with something that is clearly outrageous. And that's exactly what they gave me. So yes, shout out to Louis Tan. He's been working his whole life towards this. He comes from that background, as Katya mentioned. He comes from a family of people with that background as well. So this was the perfect role for him. But like, I didn't care about, Cole's family, to be honest. I mean, if I'm being honest in this, I didn't care about Cole's family at all. I came here to see the death matches, and that's exactly what I got. And so I had a great time because it just reminded me of my 90s childhood and everything that I loved and adored about Mortal Kombat. I agree with Sean. The first 20 minutes actually are fantastic. The way it's shot is vastly different from the rest of the film. And the first 20 minutes also were really hard to watch because, I did not expect him to ice the son too, but here we are. I was like, dang, they killed a child. But it is Mortal Kombat, and they hold nothing. Much. Right. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Listen, everybody's gonna watch it today and they're gonna see. Luckily, that part really doesn't make a difference in the storyline at the end, because to Sean's point, you are watching kind of two different films. Essentially, once that happens, you're kind of watching two different films and seeing kind of the good versus evil that we're used to in Mortal Kombat. But.
Yeah, so it's really interesting. Sean didn't really go into this, but I think that this is where he was going. For me, when I watched this, is that I thought about the whole Godzilla versus Kong piece. And the difference for that is that these some fictional things, those monsters or whatever, I did want the story to work here, and it didn't work for me. And I think that's because what they did in that first, I don't know if it was 20 minutes, I was hooked. I was like, oh my goodness, this is about to be some deep stuff. And it went into just the fighting, and the fighting was good. Don't get me wrong. They had some good.
The fighting's great.
They had some good stuff, fantastic. But it didn't match what it started out with for me. So for me, I'm saying I'm happy that it's on HBO Max too, because for the people who don't want to pay that money, go ahead and check it out. Unfortunately, to what Sean said about kids watching it, the people who got HBO Max, everybody gonna be watching it. Your whole family gonna come together and be watching it. And maybe you'll be shocked, maybe you won't, because I do know that there's some young kids who play this one. This one for me was not the enjoyable movie that I really want to see. I'm probably gonna shock you guys here. I liked Godzilla versus Kong better because of what they did in terms of starting the movie and ending the movie.
It's a different type of movie, though. I'm so baffled at the fact that you two expect a story. Again, I agree with Sean. I disagree with Sean. This movie is going to be a huge hit. Number one, 6 o'clock news. Have you lived in America? Is way more violent. This isn't like traumatizing type of violence. It's like, it's kind of fake. So, but it's still cool. I think this is going to hit like with middle schoolers on up. They're going to be at the movies this weekend to see this. I think the numbers are going to be really good for this. And again, I am still baffled by people
That's me. Yeah, hey,
But
hey,
there's no
yeah.
way.
Who that
I think
winning
it's-
is wanting some deep thing. Nobody.
I think it's gonna get a
I'm with
sequel.
KB.
no problem, no problem.
About
Let me no problem. Let me let Sean get in here because that's me. I wanted something more than that. But let me let Sean in here.
It can't possibly be a massive hit. If you study rated R releases through the history of since rated R became a thing, it's just it's no way it can be a hit at the box office. All right, we'll see. I bet you $1,000 so I can get another bottle of this.
All right, you got the last word, KB, on this one.
Listen, I think it'll get a sequel for sure. I think that they're going to build a franchise around it. I
they
think
left
that,
the door open for it.
Yeah, and I think that was always the intention. I think, to be honest, I think from a marketing perspective, they're hoping that the same things that happened with Godzilla and versus Kong will happen with Mortal Kombat, in the sense that, people will just keep building buzz around it online because it's so outrageous. Like, I think that they want people to keep talking about it because of that element, and they're hoping to be able to, keep
and there's
pushing
no
it
competition.
forward.
There's no competition.
But its outrageousness is going to push more people to move it toward HBO Max and not the box, because
that's what I think.
The R rating is the R rating is a deterrent. Like, it can't possibly do the same numbers as Godzilla versus Kong. It's just it doesn't work like that.
I think it's going to be that more people are going to watch it with HBO Max, but that's neither here nor there. So for me, it's a mild watch it definitely for the fighting. It's mild for me. I'm sorry, KB, for you.
No, it's a watch it for me because I had a great time. Like, I was like, but I went in there with the expectations, knowing that, like, this background, this storyline, probably not going to get it, especially in this first film. Like, I feel like if they're going to expand on storyline, it will probably come in a sequel. But right now, this is just an origin story in a sense, and it gave me all of the action and the fighting that I wanted.
No problem, Katya.
Absolutely, the fighting is top notch. Who cares about all that other stuff? Right. Man, I had a good time. Go for it.
No problem, Sean.
Don't watch. I mean, if you're going to push for a hard R movie that's sort of like this, full of fighting and cool styles, just go and watch Kill Bill 1 and 2.
All right, well, that's it on that. Let's move on. Move on to our next one. We got 2 watches on that, and a mild and a don't. So there you go. I love this, man. I love talking about this stuff. All right, so this is a Netflix movie, which is called The Mitchells versus the Machines. And the story is pretty simple. Is that there's this wild and crazy family that doesn't do anything normal, and the machines end up taking over. That there's a company like a Facebook or Apple kind of a company that ends up taking over the world and sending the humans away so that it would just be a world versus the machines. The only family that's left are the Mitchells, and the Mitchells have to figure out how to disarm the machines so that humanity can live again. And this is a Netflix film, and I'll tell you, is that I liked a lot of stuff in this film, a lot, because it was a quirky family. The message is that you can be quirky, you don't have to be fit into the norm. It had a lot of commentary on the way in which life is with technology, and some of the jokes might have just been for adults because they were absolutely funny to me. So I felt like this was a nice family movie. I don't mean a fantastic family movie, but a nice family movie where my daughters and myself, we watched it and we had a good time watching it. So that's my thought on it. Sean, did you see this one?
Yeah, I did. It's strong second tier content. This is the type of content that Netflix was designed to produce because they had no idea a pandemic was going to happen. So this is the type of content people are looking for when they're not experiencing movies in the theater. Unfortunately, we have a pandemic, so it kind of pushes a title like this toward the front. But it's just standard issue, second tier entertainment. I like the messaging. It was solid. It was fun. It's just a no-brainer. That's about it.
KB.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I mean, it is no Incredibles, in that sense, because I feel like The Incredibles is a fantastic animated film. I felt like this was a really good animated film. I had a good time. I think that it is very clear that they were really pushing the messaging between how the different generations use technology. And so I liked that. I also actually really liked the storyline between the father and the daughter. I think, kind of having them be on opposite ends of the spectrum about everything, and then having them, of course, kind of work through those issues, I think is a really strong part of the film. And I think the family as a whole, I really love the mom, actually. I think she might actually be my favorite character and the one that's kind of underrated in the film. And I like the progression and the journey that she goes on. So, yeah, I mean, I think it was a solid animated film. I had a good time. I laughed. I think they tried to get some tears from me at the end, the little emotional at the end. So I was like, but it's definitely a film that everyone in the family can watch and relate to and enjoy.
Yeah, I love your comments about the mom. I think they made all the characters worthy. So thank you for bringing that in, Katya.
I don't think it's a second tier film. I think it's definitely a first rate family film. I think Netflix has done some of the best animation films centering young girls, which is really important. What I love the most about this girl. She is unconventional and she owns all of that. There are so many girls that are like that. And it's nice to see a movie celebrating the nerdy, the girls that are coloring outside the lines, the girls that aren't, they don't want to be this thing that society wants them to be. And again, I love that she's a YouTuber, she's a vlogger, excuse me, and all of those other things. And I agree with KB that Maya Rudolph as the mom was a perfect choice, and again, the quirkiness between the father who is totally doesn't get it, doesn't understand that what his daughter is into and who she's grown into. And again, I love that this family is, it makes me think of like Vacation, that they're all over the place and that, the father is like, we're going to drive and the kids are like, seriously? And all of those things. This is a great family film. And, if you do want to see something with your kids for the weekend, that isn't violence, there's your option versus, the other thing. Again, I think Netflix is really underestimated when it comes to animation. They've done a lot of really good things. And it's a shame because Disney has such a stronghold on animation that people aren't willing to expand their mind and look at what some of these other studios are doing.
Well,
now that's true. I will say that is true. I will say I have seen less kind of marketing for this film, which is really interesting to me because it is such a good concept, a unique concept, and it speaks to so many different values and different things going on in the world currently, and even how we view technology. But I haven't seen very much on it. Like, I mean, to be honest, I've seen, like, I saw your tweet, Katya, I saw Sharonda's, but I haven't seen very much kind of around pushing this animated film. And I think it could do well for Netflix, kind of if they just, marketed it.
Yeah, and the reviews have been favorable. So again,
they're not going to push it because it's their second tier content.
That's your opinion. You need to
that's fact.
my opinion.
But what I say to that, don't Katya,
your opinion.
No, that's not an opinion. This is a second tier.
It's not
Netflix
a fact, Sean.
But see, I don't know, Katya. Hold on for a second.
It's not a fact.
Hold on. But I am curious, Sean, why do you feel like it's a second tier? Do you feel like what is it,
because
you're just like in second tier?
If you understand the Netflix model and how it works, they tier their releases. This is not a premium Netflix release. It is a second tier release in terms of their marketing strategy and push.
We're not talking about any of that. We're talking about the quality of the film.
No, we already mentioned the quality, but I'm just saying you guys mentioned why there wasn't. But hold on, you guys just mentioned why there wasn't a lot of marketing surrounding that, and I just answered that the reason why.
Yeah, and I want to say this though, on Katya.
Opinion, because your opinions are not fact.
What I was going to say, Katya, is that it could be opinion. Is that my experience with Netflix with this film is much different than my experience with a lot of their other films. And what I mean by that is I had to beg for them to give me that film. The films that they give me that they want to give me. So the credence that I wanted to lend to what Sean said, I'm not saying that that he's right. I'm saying my experience was that it wasn't like all the other films. KB was calling me saying, "Hey Reggie, oh, I haven't gotten this film." So it was clear, at least to me, that they weren't treating this film like they treat some of their other films and pushing it out there. I think it is a solid film, as I said in the beginning, and I hope that people do go check it out. That I want to go back to your final comment about if people are looking for something to watch this weekend, this is one of those films to sit down and watch this weekend. So for me, it's a watch.
This is more appropriate for this is way more appropriate for a family. This is a film I would recommend. Like if you have young kids in the house and you're looking for an entertainment option, I would opt for this and not Mortal Kombat.
Yeah. KB, is this a watch it?
Oh yeah, 100% to watch it. I mean, I definitely feel like it's again something that everyone can enjoy from every generation. Yes, it is more family friendly than Mortal Kombat for young children, but I still think that like middle school age people will enjoy this film. I think like high schoolers can enjoy it. Everyone. Did. So yeah. So I feel like it's definitely a watch it. I had a good time.
I did. Katya, this is watch it.
Absolutely, it's a delightful. And I'm surprised because I watched this film via the CCA thing. That's how I got my invite. And that's why I was like, hey, we should talk about it.
Yeah. I'm glad you guys said talk about it because I know you're gonna be mad at me, but I didn't love Mortal Kombat. Anyway, let me move on before you get on my case. All right, so let's talk about the Oscars. There's a lot to talk about the Oscars, and my big umbrella that I want to bring up about the Oscars is diversity. Is that there are a lot of folks up for something. Not all the people we think should be up for something, because we've talked about that here. I'm missing my girl Rada, of course, and I'm gonna say that until it's over. So that means I get to talk about this part about Rada until Sunday. But my thing is diversity. There's a lot of Black folks that are up for things. There's Asian folks that are up for things. There's maybe some Latino folks that are up for things, and we do have a Muslim that's up for things. So I just want to open the floor, and I'm going to start with my Latino person first because that's all she want to talk about. Ahead of time, I don't even know if she Black. I said, this time I said Black people. I ain't say African American. She might claim African American. No, she don't claim African American because she comes from Brazil. But I'm just bothering you. I'm bothering you. Katya, what do you think about?
I think the person that is Latinx that has said it in everything that's in his bio that gets overlooked because he happens to be Black is Shaka King. There has not been enough coverage from Latin outlets. He should be on the cover of People in Espanol, Hola USA, and the list goes on and on. Remescla is one of the few outlets that has talked about him as being nominated. I mean, I know that there's a drought with Latinx actors and talent and things like that, but let's also celebrate him because he is of Panamanian descent on both sides, directly from his mother, and his mother is missing directly from his father, and his mother is half Panamanian. And, he owns that part of his heritage. And I think it's also important because we're still struggling as Afro-Latinos for people to understand that you can be Black and Latin at the same time.
I think that's a really good point. The Latin category, however, was really, really shallow this year. I pointed out to you guys, we got two people from Chile for The Mold Agent, and then we have two Mexicans for Best Sound for The Sound of Metal. That's it. I mean, it is very, very sparse. KB, you were shaking your head there.
Yeah, only just because, I feel like every year the Oscars, we're having this discussion around diversity with the Oscars because it's always a point of contention. Like, yes, I actually love to see how, wide the category for Black artists is this year. Sure. Could there be more? Absolutely. Nicole Beharie. But, which is the hill that I will die on since you're going to die on the Rada Blank one. But yes, so I'm like, absolutely. Could it be more for the Latinx community? Absolutely. For the Asian community? Absolutely. Am I thrilled for Steven and Riz? Yes, because the performances are incredible. So yes, absolutely. I'm excited, but there can always be more. Am I excited for Chloe? Yes, but more. I just feel like it's a conversation that we're constantly having. And I'm confused about why every single year, like, just give us more.
I don't think you're gonna be too confused because Sean got a thought on that. Sean, why?
It's great. I mean, it takes years, and it takes more than just the academy. We talked about this before on this show. Like it starts at who's providing the money to get films financed, because there's people all over the world from different backgrounds telling stories, but they're all not able to get their stories turned into film because you got to have money to do that. It's a very expensive proposition. And then a lot of times when you finally get the money, you don't get enough money. And if you do get enough money, you don't get the marketing money. And then you don't get the advertising money. And then you don't get the awards money. See, a lot of this is, a lot of people just think it's all the membership's fault, but it's full circle. I mean, there's a lot of slices to this pizza that need to be distributed, and that hasn't always happened. But yeah, the Latinx thing, it's something that definitely needs to be addressed, and we're actually addressing it. That's going to be one of my next projects because the CCA is doing the celebration in that direction. It sort of mimics celebration of Black cinema. We're going to do a celebration of Latinx films. So that's
hopefully that'll involve the Latinx branch of the community. Because I think that
I'm very inclusive. Everything I produce.
I'm not saying you. I'm saying the organization, because I think
I'm producing it. I am the organization. I'm part of the spearheading that.
Okay, so I can finish my thought. That at the end of the day, that is something that's really important, that you have the community that's in tune. You know what I mean? Because there are even members of the community that don't know people who aren't white that are Latinx. Like, I have this conversation with my colleagues all the time, and it's like, oh, I didn't know. And these are people that are prominent figures in the industry that don't know who their fellow Latinos are. So it's pertinent. You know what I mean? This is a big year for Latinx films. You have two major films in the Heights and West Side Story, which will have predominantly Latinx people in it, in front and behind the camera. So I think it's very important because people outside of the diaspora that aren't Latinos, that haven't lived in Latin America, that aren't of that parentage, often confuse and get a lot of things wrong. Good intentions, but the results has been a mess.
Yeah, well, I'm glad. Firstly, that's why we had a show, is to make sure that when you talk about Katia making sure that the community is involved, and Sean talks about, hey, I'm producing something, that means we got the connections right there, that the connections are there to make sure that this is as good as we can possibly do. I do want to pick up on a point that you made, KB, because, and we've talked about it, the three of us have talked about it, is Katia told me, Reggie, you want to watch this movie, Sound of Metal. I'm like, I don't want to watch that. This was good. Oh my goodness. Yeah, Sean, you can go ahead and laugh at me. I was like, I didn't want to watch it.
I remember when you said it.
So KB, your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I don't know why you didn't want to watch it. I mean, I'm confused, but I'm glad that
it wasn't something like, I wasn't thinking like I want to watch a movie about some heavy metal dude or whatever, but she knew that I should watch this film, and Sean's laughing at me because I will tell y'all, if I'm like, nah, I wouldn't have watched it if somebody didn't say something. And I'm so glad that you mentioned Riz, because I think that if this was any other year, he might win. He might have won an Oscar.
He still has a chance. He just got the Independent Spirit Award last night. He still has a chance. He's got some momentum going in. He's got a chance.
Yeah, he did a great job. So before we,
I don't think he's gonna win.
No, but
it was an exceptional performance, right? So Sean's like, he has a margin, and I'm like, yeah, I don't think he's gonna get it, but it does not negate a stellar performance. I will say that.
Katia says to me, she's like, Reggie, there's three people who got a lock. So go ahead and just tell me who got a lock, Katia. Go ahead.
Daniel Kaluuya. He's won everything. No one has, like, he He's won all the major awards. He has the momentum. He's the reason everybody's talking about the film. So
well, he got a lock. Who else?
He's a lock. Chloe's going to win something. And I think the one guarantee is Best Director. It's time. It's time that a director of color won this award. But I mean, like, and a woman. You know, we've had a lot of men and one white woman. So I think she's going to win that. And I also think she's going to win adapted screenplay.
What's the definition of color? Because there've been a bunch of Mexican men who've won best.
They're white, though. They're white Mexican.
Okay.
Alfonso Cuarón, all of them are white. They're Latinos 100% because they're Mexicans, but they're still white men.
Wow. So Sean,
nobody looks at them and says, "Ooh."
Wait, but Katia, who's your third? I mean, I think we all know.
Gay three.
I think we all know.
My third. No Man. No Man Land's going to win Best Picture. Unfortunately, Netflix is going to be a bridesmaid again, because I think this film does not have. It lost its momentum, and No Man Land is pretty much peaked at the right time. So that film is going to win Best Picture.
And so we got to get off the Oscars, but we can't get off. We just mentioned Black folks, but there's plenty of Black folks that are up for awards. Sean, who are you interested in rooting for on five on the Black hand side?
Well, I mean, we gotta have Best Actress be a Black woman. And, you know, if I had my pick, I would go Andra Day.
Me too.
I think it's leaning more toward Viola Davis, which will also be historical. To be the first Black woman to have multiple Oscar wins. So, I mean, that's a win-win. I just hoping it's one or the other. It will be nice to see Chadwick get recognized. Unfortunately, he's not here, which is really, really sad. Yeah, I think Daniel's in. I don't think anybody else is gonna upset that. But I still have problems living in a world where, you know, Spike Lee still doesn't have an Oscar for directing. You know, everybody's like, it's time for this, it's time for that. It's like, man, there's a lot of people.
But it starts with the DGA. Nobody will write the article that everybody's talking about all these other branches. The DGA is a problem. Nobody, and again, journalists, whenever we talk about diversity, always want to ask the Black people, hence my tweet, stop asking Black people who are not in a position of authority why Black people haven't won a Best Directing. Ask the people in the DGA. There's a perfect clip out there with Steve McQueen doing a roundtable where he talks about, he finds it astonishing that people are filming films in Chicago, New York, and not even the background actors are Black. And none of the white directors answered it because they know he's talking about them. That's the people you need to start calling out. They put all the people of color in the first-time director category. That's their way of saying, hey, we are acknowledging you. It is criminal that Spike Lee does not have a Best Director Oscar. Again, the DGA needs to be called out on their BS.
And it's also criminal that the most ignored title of all of this, and for various reasons, is the whole Small Axe anthology.
See, don't get me started.
Yeah,
see,
I know.
We'll talk about this. We'll talk about this forever. And let me do Katia. So Katia will be like, oh, they didn't market it right. So I already know where she's gonna go, right?
Yeah, well, I have two different emails from publicists. One is telling me put it in the whatever category I want to put it into. Mm-hmm. The other one's telling me it's a TV series.
No, for sure.
Yeah, they really dropped the ball with Small Axe. Like
this is so criminal that happened. But I don't want to. I want to say something on the Black
4 out of 5 Small Axe films are better than Nomadland.
I don't agree with that, but I mean, it's a different type of Nomadland is a different.
4 out of 5 are better than Nomadland.
Now I'm not gonna say 4 out of 5 are better. Maybe 3 out of 5. It's not 4 out of 5 for me.
I'll take that.
It doesn't. Even if it's 3, KB. So I'll take your 3.
Yeah.
I'm saying, but none of them are up for nothing.
Nothing.
Again, that's the studio's fault.
That is
Amazon had the money to. This is criminal. You are a company that has the money to compete, and you're taking yourself out of the game because you have an in-house marketing team, then you hired an outside marketing team, and those two didn't speak to one another. Each one of them did whatever they wanted, and what happened is the film fell through the cracks. Now, luckily, since they now decided to go with this TV thing, they have couple months to get it together in time for the Emmy.
And try to get.
But again, everybody needs to speak to one another so you don't have 16 different emails coming out from 16 different houses.
So see, Sean wants to derail me by talking about small acts. And see, this is why
Sean threw a little small acts bomb in there.
This right. He want to blow up the whole thing. So I just want to touch on, because we can't touch on diversity without touching on our Asian compatriots. And they got a little shine this year. And if anybody wins, it should be for Best Supporting Actress to me, because she, as the grandma, and I have to say, and I don't want to even mess up her name, is Young Ya Jung.
That's close.
So she killed it. She killed it. Sean, you interview her?
No, we did not interview her, sadly. Everybody else but her. I know.
Oh my gosh. And she's really the star.
Because
her and Alan.
She's winning. She's gonna win. She's winning.
And she's funny.
Yes, very funny.
She is hilarious. I love her BAFTA speech. Snobbish, called the Brits snobbish. And you know what? She's really right about that. But again, she is, to have a grandmother in a film that is so unconventional, that basically told you, I'm not cooking, I'm not cleaning, I'm just gonna watch these kids and watch my TV. That's all you're getting.
And so what's funny, KB, I just want to tell you this. I didn't have to ask Katya to speak, because I already knew what she was gonna do on this one, because she is like all in for this actress.
She deserves to win. She deserves to win.
No. What letter does Minari begin with?
M.
M.
Huh?
M.
All right. What's the last movie that pulled off the Best Picture upset? What letter did it begin with?
M.
There we go. Minari could be Moonlight Sunday.
You right. You know what? That is right. So we're gonna move on, because we got a lot of stuff to get to, and you guys just throwing bombs all up in my stuff, man.
Just saying, if there's an upset to happen, Minari.
I like that. I like
one. It would serve everybody right for trying to other that film and saying it's not American. That would be a really nice ending.
That would, and it's actually insulting. So I'm gonna go to a couple of quick issues. Look, all of y'all got one statement to make, and we're going to keep it moving. So this is the hot chair, keep it moving. The first one, I'm going to start with you, KB, and this is, will streaming lose its stream with the pandemic ending, because more people are free to get out of the house and go to the films? Well, your thoughts?
I don't necessarily think so. I mean, we've been here before, right? So like the past year, we've seen an uptick in streaming just because the movie theaters were closed. But it's not like streaming services and movie theaters haven't competed in the past. Like we started off that way. We know what it looks like. So I don't necessarily think that. I am curious, though, I will say, to see how this impact is going to work for Warner Media, in the sense that, because now that they are doing, they announced that they're doing the dual release, and they're putting some things back into theater. So, like the Mortal Kombats and things like that. I'm curious to see just from them internally what it looks like what their numbers do internally, streaming versus that. I do believe there was an article, was it released yesterday or the day before, saying that they only had it was under 3 million new subscribers to HBO Max, I think is what I read. So, I think that they were hoping that it would be significantly more, around 6 or 7. But that hasn't been the case yet. So I am curious to see from their business model, their perspective, since they were really the first ones to want to do this dual release scenario, how that's going to work out for them. But I do think, we've been down this path before. I mean, I'm always watching Netflix and I'm still going to the theater. So for me, life has not changed. I mean, obviously this past year, but.
All right. I'm moving on to you, Katya. Thoughts?
I agree with KB. We've been living in a streaming theater existence, I don't think it will be until 2022 where we see people comfortably going to the movies, because again, a lot of people are not vaccinated. A lot of people are not comfortable being out yet. And we still, contrary to popular opinion, have a lot of states that have pretty high COVID numbers. You know what I mean? So having said all that, I just feel like, these streaming companies are in a really good position. And not to mention, we still haven't solved the technical drought and the fact that some people live 2 hours away from a movie theater. I think what the numbers that KB is talking about, what's shying people away from signing up for HBO Max is the price. It's one of the priciest streaming services. So people are really asking, what am I getting for my money other than these movies? What's on there that makes me want to, subscribe for this? And the answer is like, you can get a lot of the same programming on HBO Go. So that's what they have to figure out. They have to incentivize it a little bit better to make people want to sign up.
I don't know, Katia. HBO Max is that girl to me. Like, I in terms of streaming services,
people,
but you don't get another bite at the apple.
I'm sorry.
You don't get another bite at the apple. I get the bite. So I think that streaming will never lose its steam. At this point, it's the train is out of the station, the plane is in the air, the bus is driving. I don't think it's going to lose the steam. I do think that there are going to be some players that are going to struggle though. And the reason is because there are too many players out there and people are saying, which one do I go to? So the only way that I see some of these streaming services surviving is by doing that $30 one-off. Is that, okay, I got a product that even if you don't want to sign up for it, I know you want to see this product, so I'll charge you $30. Sean, last word.
Well, if you go by the stocks, stocks are down. It's hard to decipher Disney because they can hide Disney Plus within their myriad of things that or that they put out. The problem streamers are facing though is growth. Year-to-date growth is definitely down. So they're gonna have to really find new frontiers. They got to get a hold of the password sharing problem. That's going to kill them, and they're going to outkill each other on content spending. They're going to have to manage content spending further down the road because the content spending is going to be the thing that kills profitability. And none of the streamers have actually showed true signs of making a profit yet. So growth, profitability, and password issues all have to be dealt with.
Cool. All right, moving on to my next issue. Sean, I'm gonna let you start this one off because you're the one to send it to me. You're like 5 out of the 6 richest Black people in America all produce movies. What does this mean for the future of cinematic storytelling? Okay, dude, what does it mean for the future of cinematic storytelling?
Okay, great question. Full disclosure, the man that's number 1 on the list is my boss, Robert F. Smith. He owns Hidden Empire Film Group, which I'm employed by. So just want to make that full disclosure. The thing you can look at it a couple of ways. You can look at this on the positive side is, all these rich Black people have all this money and the majority of them are in the storytelling and producing content, which is good because it takes money to produce content. The problem is you have so few Black people that have the kind of money that it takes to actually produce film that, maybe the storytelling won't be diverse because they're the 5 people who can pull the lever on what gets greenlit because they control the purse strings. But it's good to see that these billionaires who are sitting at the top of the list all have an interest in telling stories, and hopefully they all create entities in which multitudes of people can benefit from their riches and tell a multitude of different types of stories.
Cool. Before I let Katia get in there here, who are the 5 people? Because we didn't tell the people who the 5 folks are.
Oh, Robert F. Smith, Oprah Winfrey, Jay-Z, Kanye West, and Tyler Perry.
There we go. Katia.
So I have a question though. What films is Kanye producing? I'm just curious. He
produces content, not necessarily feature films, but he's moving in that direction.
Okay.
Yeah. He finances content creation, and he's moving into the feature film arena soon.
Katia.
God help us. If it's going to be anything like the Yeezys and the homeless clothes, God help us. And moving on. I think it's good and bad. The issue that I have with us is we don't invest enough in Black women. We can't yell at Hollywood for not investing in Black women, but we don't do a good job of it either. A lot of these men still, other than Oprah, still invest primarily in men. I'm looking at the Rada Blanks. I'm looking at Channing Godfrey Peoples and, and the list, and Gina Prince by the Wood. And the list goes on and on. These are women that need the money to make what they want to make. So give them the $20 million and be a good producer and sit in a chair and let them create. That would be really astonishing. And I really would like to see, Tyler Perry said he was going to start getting out of the chair and let someone else sit in there, invest in women, invest in Black women, and let's see what that looks like in order to level the playing field a little bit.
KB.
Listen, I don't have much more to add except I am hoping that what this means is that we'll get more diverse stories on screen. You know, I do feel like, and a lot of people may agree that Tyler Perry kind of has built his career in this lane that is very singular. And so I am hoping to see that we just have an expansion, even from him, from everyone on this list, and from those people that they start to employ. Hopefully, like Katia said, investing in more Black women, but just a diversity of Black stories and what that looks like, and seeing different types of Black families and different types of Black relationships on screen and things like that. So I am hoping from that, you know, from this list of individuals who are the top earners, and as they keep creating content, that we just get to see more diversity in Black stories.
Thank you. So I'm really excited that we have these people doing what they do, and it's an and, not a but. And on the other hand, what's concerning to me is that there's not, and you guys already said it, is that there's just not enough people out there doing it. So since there's not enough people out there doing it, it will limit the type of stories that will get out in the marketplace. So Katia, when you're saying, hey, let's invest in women, I'm 100% on that, for real. Let's get some diverse stories out there. But I'm afraid that, and this is why I'm afraid. I'm afraid because generally Black folks have been watching a particular type of film. And when we start to go wide, those other types of films don't really make money. And so if these guys are trying to make money, whoever it is, and unfortunately it's mostly guys, but if Oprah, including the men, are trying to make money, they're gonna go to the stories that they think they're gonna make the money. And will a Rada Blank make the money, even though I'm just saying, this is just my thought, even though I'm just in love with what she did here, I don't know a lot of folks who've seen it. I'm talking about it and saying, please see that movie, please see that movie. So that's my thought on that. Moving on to the next one. Katia, I'm gonna start with you on this one, is that we talk about Prince, and obviously, you know, this is that anniversary time. We got a new album out, and you the music person, so don't be talking to me, don't be pulling up on me, getting all mad, is that we got a new album out, and you know, I'm bothering you, but you know, what is Prince's legacy on film in your opinion?
Purple Rain is a classic movie because it is a perfect synergy of story and music. Do you know what I mean? Which doesn't happen very often. Under the Cherry Moon, you know, it's and ha-ha. So I wouldn't necessarily, you know, say that's a good movie. I also am, as a lifelong Prince fan, I've been a fan since album number 1. I actually have I have all his stuff in albums. And I don't understand why we want to celebrate him on the day that he died, because it was a tragedy. His birthday is June 7th. That's really where I feel like the celebration needs to come on. And that's also where a lot of people do the celebrations in terms of that. And I get that they have a lot of content, but I'm like, the day he died was a tragic day, and also the way he died. You know what I mean? That's and I would say he really technically should be here. You know what I mean? This was a preventable death. But overall, I also feel like there is a generation that doesn't understand who Prince was. They know he was a great musician, but they don't understand the impact that he made. You know what I mean? I think totally. Unless you are of a certain age, you don't understand what a amazing artist he was. I say this having seen Michael Jackson. Prince was the best live performer, hands down. When people try to throw Beyonce in it, and I love Beyonce, and I've seen Beyonce, but what Prince did in these concerts, it was really like a revelation. It was like church, people of all different backgrounds. I mean, I've never seen that many people sing everything. And just the fact also him as a producer, how many people he wrote for. Like, it's just, there isn't a name that isn't connected to him in some capacity. So
you're so funny. You're so funny. I mean, see, I knew if I asked the music
no,
person,
I mean, it's
you
just
go,
because I
you
love
gonna get
him so
off.
much. No. It's just I'm a real fan.
I know.
And I really love his music, and I love what he stood for. You know, there's a lot of people in music that are phony from that, just phony through and through.
So I
And
don't want to
he
be
was
phony,
true.
but I do want to get KB in here. So let me hear you, KB.
Listen, I'm with Katia. I'm a huge Prince fan. Prince is the best performance I've ever seen live. I tell people all the time, I'm pretty sure I met God there, because that's how extraordinary it was. So, you know, as a huge Prince fan, I think not only did he make a lot of accomplishments in the music industry, but he was actually, you know, in terms of a businessman, fighting for his masters and making sure that artists kind of had the rights that they deserved. Is something that people, you know, don't often talk about as well, or talk about enough. And so, you know, Purple Rain, adore it as a film. Also, as an aside, if we're talking about film and Prince, you know, he did the Batman album. He did this Batman album, and I, as everyone knows, I'm in the genre space, so I do like the superhero genre space. I actually really adored that album. And so I cannot, you know, think of the Batman film without thinking of this album as well. So to me, that is still film influence.
All right, Sean, bring it in, man.
Yeah, it's without question that Purple Rain's a classic, but it's even more of a classic when you understood how it got made. I mean, I know Obama wrote the book, The Audacity of Hope, but Prince was the first because the way he forced Warner Brothers' hand to get that movie made with all non-actors except for Clarence Williams III, the fact that he actually had primarily most of it shot in Minneapolis during the winter, and it's cold as hell in Minnesota in the winter. I mean, everything about it. And remember, at the time he made Purple Rain, he was not a superstar. He was black famous. You know, his fan base was growing, but he was by no means an international superstar. The movie turned him into an international superstar.
Well, Katya, I understand, and I think you said it, why people are celebrating on his death. I'm positive that people will also be celebrating on his birth, because Prince is just that phenomenal. You know, I know people individually who celebrate their parents and things on their death as well. So, you know, I understand it, and I'll be happy on his birthday when we're celebrating that as well. With that, the last segment that we have to talk about is, and we talked about this last week. So we talked about how there's so much Black TV out there and there's some good stuff out there that we're watching. So I'm gonna start this one off because I let all of you guys start it off. I'm gonna start it off with what I'm watching. And I'm watching Snowfall. I watched the first episode. And watching the first episode, it pisses me off right away because it's Black people dealing in drugs. And I'm like, oh no, I don't want to see another thing about Black people dealing in drugs. But then about 20 minutes in, it's the Hispanic people doing drugs, the Jewish people doing drugs, the Russians doing drugs, the white people doing drugs. It was everybody doing it. And I sat back and I just started to enjoy this show. This is good stuff. I am so hooked that as soon as I get off with you guys, I got a couple of more episodes to go. I got to finish this thing. Snowfall is it is so smart to me. It's smart in how it shows the community, but it's informative because the stuff is true. So there's a lot of shows out there that we're going to talk about, but and I'll just mention some real quick. It's Them, The Upshaw, Snowfall, Dad Stop Embarrassing Me, The Godfather Harlem, which we talked about a little bit, Family Reunion, Delilah, Queen Sugar, Insecure, Atlanta, Blackish, Grownish, Reggie-ish, Claws, the Shy. And I mean, there's a lot of shows out there, but I will tell you, Snowfall is totally worth the watch. And I'm gonna go to you first, KB.
So, what I'm watching The Godfather of Harlem. A lot of people know when the pandemic hit, I had to leave my wonderful apartment in Harlem to be closer to family back in Texas. I miss it so much. Every time I watch The Godfather of Harlem, I'm like, oh, my personal letter to Harlem come to life just in a different year. So I love it so much. Bumpy's journey, the character development of all of the women on the show, I mean, like, it is just exceptional. The performances are exceptional. The storylines are great. I think something that is hard to do is there's obviously a fine line because we are looking at real life figures. So there is a fine line between history and then, what we're making up and for drama. And I can't tell the difference if I'm being honest because it's extraordinary and it is exceptional. So shout out to Godfather of Harlem. I'm also watching Delilah, which I feel like not enough people are watching. And so we were just talking about investing in women. And so it is on OWN and it is a Black woman centered story. But what I like about Delilah is that the Black family centered on this story is different. So Reggie, you just mentioned you didn't really like Snowfall in the beginning because you were like, I don't want to see Black people dealing drugs. This is the exact opposite. So you have these Black women who are lawyers and they are, kind of managing their friends, their lawyers, and they get into a bit of a tiff due to a case where they are opposing counsel. So that's interesting. One of the characters, her father, she's a lawyer. Her father is the chief of police. Like you get to see, and all of this takes place in Charlotte, I might add. So you're seeing kind of a different storyline and dynamic. Her brother was in the military, he was injured. It's a larger mystery surrounding the show that I will not give away, but that's also another draw. And so, I like the complex story of Delilah, and I feel like not enough people are watching. And it used to come on right after Queen Sugar, but Queen Sugar just had their season finale. Queen Sugar, top tier TV. So I'm gonna say that. And one that I miss, Claws. I adore Claws and I miss it and I can't wait till it comes back.
I'll get back to you in Claws, but I want to say that it's really interesting that you talked about The Godfather of Harlem because Sean and I were talking about it prior to this, and because he did an interview with Forrest Whitaker, and I was like, "How was Forrest, man? What was that?" I was trying to get like all the good stuff. Sean, talk about The Godfather of Harlem and another show that you think is worth people checking out.
Oh, The Godfather Harlem is absolutely amazing. I didn't think they could top season one. Season two is twice as good. It's very nuanced, and it starts with the writing, and it starts with like character development. Even though they're real life characters, they're presenting a perspective in which you haven't seen before. I like the way they present Bumpy Johnson. I like the way they present Malcolm X. I like the way they present Mamie Johnson. I like the way they present Cassius Clay. It's all very clever and well done. But my favorite right now is Snowfall. I mean, season 4 is just absolutely stunning. I mean, just absolutely stunning. I just want to take a private jet up to heaven and hug John Singer.
Oh, just really crushes it. Katya, come on, bring it on.
All Rise. All Rise.
Yes, thank you, Katya.
All Rise is one of the few Black female-led shows on network TV. She is just hitting it out of the park, and and I love that it's centered around a woman judge. She is the person of authority, and I also excuse me again. It's really important that we support the show because network TV's biggest thing has been that drama centering Black people or in the lead or minorities periods 9 o'clock don't work. So in order to have more avenues and to have more opportunities for people of color, we need to tune in and we need to support. The other one is Queen Sugar. Queen Sugar has given us, what is season 5? 5 phenomenal seasons. And this show does not get talked about enough. And it's a shame, especially in Black media. We don't talk about the show enough. The show should be way more awarded. And again, it takes place, it's a family. We always talk about we don't see enough families. And it takes place in the New Orleans area, which is, again, nice to see a show centering outside of New York, Chicago, LA.
Yeah, so it's so interesting that as you guys talk about all these shows. Again, I'm watching Snowfall, and I think I have maybe like 4 more episodes to go before I have nothing else to watch. So I don't know if I don't want to watch and you just not watch so that I won't feel like I'm out there all by myself. But I do want to make a comment that you guys made about Delilah and All Rise. I watch both shows. But what I like about Delilah that I know they can't do, well, it's harder to do on network TV. This is all Black people. It's Black people loving Black people. They don't have to try to figure out, let me have a love interest with some interracial thing or whatever. And not that I have a problem with that, but they don't have to do that. Network television has to do it. But here you see,
because of the advertising structure.
Right. And so what I love about Delilah is that they don't even have to try to play no games with that. Is that they got Black men, they go back and forth, they all got some issues. They're not rich either, is one of the things that I want to talk about, is that Delilah's not rich. They showing a working class lawyer trying to make things work. So
to be honest, she's an entrepreneur, so it's a lot harder. You know what I mean? She's a single mom. She's an entrepreneur. She has people on her payroll. It's harder for her to have this wealth because she has a lot more people depending on her.
And she cares about the community and so on and so forth. So I just want to mention that. I'm glad that you guys mentioned both of those shows. Hey, this is the Real Critic Roundtable where Black critics come to talk, and I'm going to let you guys have your last word. And I am going to start with Sean. Sean, last word.
Last word is Wakanda forever. 2 brothers from Black Panther winning the Oscars Sunday.
Ooh. Oh, there we go. Now, KB, your last word.
My last word for this week, Daniel Kaluuya winning the Oscar for what was the best and simultaneously creepiest, because it was so close, portrayal of Chairman Fred Hampton. So.
All right, and Katya, your last word.
I'll say Chloe Zhao. May this be, I can't wait for the externals. I hope she edited it because she's an excellent editor, but I am very happy for her. This is way overdue. She has been making amazing content, and hopefully this will open the door for more directors, women of color, to get opportunities and to be recognized.
My last word is hair love. Is that I'm hoping that Mia Neal and Jamaica Wilson, one of them, that we get some hair love at the Oscars.
They're winning.
They do? That's my last word, is hair love. Hey, I really appreciate my guests for coming on. Thank you so much, Katya. Thank you so much, Sean. Too much wine, by the way. And thank you to my not so...
I'm on my LeBron James.
and thank you to my not nemesis, KB, for joining us again. I'm Reggie Ponder, the Real Critic. This is the Real Critic Roundtable, where African-American critics come to discuss, debate, and have some fun. We did that. The Oscars are this weekend. Check them out, because we will be talking about who won and who didn't next week. See you guys next time.
It's going to be the lowest rated Oscars in the history of Oscars.